All right, everybody. We are at 11:30. So I will go ahead and start us all off. Good afternoon. Happy International Women's Day. I feel like we just need to go ahead and put that out there to support all the women. We're happy that you're joining us for our second leadership study of 2022. I'm Sharia Coet with CWLI. Thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be hearing from Jon Macaskill as he discusses presence on discovering authentic humanism. If at any time you have any questions during this discussion, feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand. We want this to be very engaging. Yesterday or this morning, you should have received some pre-work that we're going to be using. If you didn't receive it, I'll go ahead and put it in the chat box here in just a moment. But this is just going to help us guide the conversation today. So if you can go ahead and get that handy with pen and paper, we are going to start our session. I was going to pass this over to Emily Elrod to do some introductions. She serves on our board, so I will let her go ahead and introduce Jon to you all.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I am so pumped to introduce you to another dear friend of mine, Jon. We met probably over a year ago, and just some of the stuff that he talks about is just so amazing. And just him as a human, he is a retired Navy SEAL commander who's turned mindfulness and mindset coach, focusing on letting go of our negative narratives and building a better now. He's married to a strong professional woman, and together they have 3 amazing kids. They have 2 girls and 1 boy, and his focus is on making their future as bright as possible without losing precious moments in the present. And that's just one thing that I love about Jon, is just his authenticity and how he'll just come. And the first time we chatted, he came on my podcast and he talked about his time with his child, and that how mindfulness, he learned through mindfulness that it wasn't this wooey fluey thing, but it's actually a game changer, and it can help us be more present in the moment and the things that we might be missing by not having that presence. So Jon, I'm so excited you're here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And as Sharia mentioned, I'm honored to be here today, specifically on International Women's Day. Your group's focus is near and dear to my heart. As Emily mentioned, I've got a professional wife. She's a born leader. We actually met in the Navy. She is one of 2 girls in the family, but they have 7 brothers, and they all call her Sarge, as in sergeant, and I'm not exaggerating. That literally is what they call her. And then I've got 3 older sisters who are all professional women, and then I've got 2 young daughters of my own. So as I said, this is an absolute honor, and what it is you guys do is near and dear to my heart. That said, I'll get into a little bit more of an intro here shortly, but first what I want you guys to do is just take notice in what it is that's going on around you. Think about some of the stressors in your life. And I think most of you guys have a pen and paper handy. Write those down. Write those stressors down, whether it's personal or professional stressors, whether it's your to-do list, whether it's something that's going on in your family. You know, maybe it's your car is needing maintenance or whatever. It's these everyday stressors. And as you're writing these down, I want you to notice what is happening in your body. Notice you may be gripping that pen a little bit tighter than you were before. And believe me, there's a point to this, so don't worry. I'm not going to stress you guys out through the whole time with you all, but I want you to notice what's happening. You may be gripping that pen a little bit tighter. You may notice that there's some sweating in your palms, maybe some tension in your forehead as you're writing these down. I get stressed out as I'm even mentioning the things that may be causing stress in your life. Don't worry, again, we're gonna come around here in a second. Now that you're done, or maybe getting close to finished writing those, what I want you to do is just stop and focus on the physical sensations that you're experiencing right now. And then take a deep breath in through your nose if you're able, ideally. And then let that go nice and slow and focus on that physical sensation. Breathe out nice and slow. Another one, deep in through your nose. Imagining those lungs inflating, belly and chest expanding. And then breathe out nice and slow and really control and focus that out breath. One more together, nice and deep in through your nose. If you need to, close your eyes, or if you feel that you need to, go ahead and close your eyes and then let that breath go nice and slow. Really try to double the amount of time that it takes you to breathe out compared to breathing in. And now notice how your body feels compared to how you felt at the very beginning. Kind of, if you will, an internal selfie. Selfie at the beginning of how you felt, noticing where your mind was, where your body was, where your nervous system was. Maybe you were a little jazzed, a little jittery. And now take another quote unquote internal selfie and compare those two photos to one another. Maybe you're a little more calm, a little more focused. And that's why I do that, is one, to show you, noticing that what your body is doing when I'm running you through the stressor. That in and of itself is mindfulness, being aware of how your body is responding to the stress. That's reacting. That's a natural reaction, a defense mechanism to protect you from threats. And then noticing how your body changes, your body, your mind, your nervous system changes when you take those deep breaths in and focus exclusively on the physical sensation of breathing. That calms you down, calms your mind, your nervous system, your body down. So that's why, one of the reasons I do it. The other reason is to calm myself down as I'm presenting to a group. So I appreciate that opportunity to calm myself down. So before we get into anything more here, and don't worry, Shariah, we're going to get to the polls here in a second, but I want to just give you a brief intro of who I am, kind of give you a foundation of why it is what I do. So I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, and ironically, we moved to the States to escape, one, apartheid, definitely, but two, escape the draft, which was still a thing in South Africa when I left. And the irony there is that I came over to the States and voluntarily enrolled and enlisted in the United States Navy. I grew up in Ruston, Louisiana, so I still have a love for the South. I enlisted in the Navy out of high school and then got picked up for the Naval Academy in Annapolis. Graduated 4 years later, went out to SEAL training, served as a SEAL for 17 years, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about mindfulness, meditation, and presence. But how did I go from being a SEAL into teaching this? Well, my background is I was involved in a particular operation that you may have seen a movie on or read a book on. There's plenty of SEAL books out there, but one in particular is called Lone Survivor, and it's based on an Operation Red Wings, where we ended up losing several men, many of whom were very close to me. And I ended up having a lot of survivor guilt over that operation, which caused me stress and anxiety and depression throughout my naval career, and it caused problems in my family as well. Well, I needed to do something, and I got introduced to mindfulness and meditation by a counselor who recommended it to me. And at first I laughed at him. As Emily said, I kind of thought it was this woo-woo practice that was for the weak or the weird. And it is neither. It is not for the weak or the weird. It is for everyone, and it takes a lot to do it. But mindfulness is really nothing more than presence. It is being in the moment. And one thing that really hit home with me was once I started to practice the meditation, which helps with the mindfulness, and once I started living mindfully, which helps with the meditation, I went through to feed my baby girl in the middle of the night. And what I had been doing was I was waking up in the middle of the night, going to feed her. And as I was feeding her, I was thinking about the next day at work, or the next week at work, or the week behind me at work. And I wasn't paying attention to this beautiful little miracle that was in my arms. And then I would go back to bed and I would just lay there because I had been stewing on the future or ruminating on the past. Well, once I started practicing, I went through to feed my baby girl, and I noticed that I was paying attention to her and nothing else, paying attention to her reaching up and grabbing my hands and the little noises that she was making. And I enjoyed the moment. I enjoyed the present moment feeding her in the middle of the night. And I would go back to to my bed and I would fall asleep. So then I would feel better the next day because I wasn't ruminating on the past and I wasn't thinking about the future. So that's where mindfulness and presence has really helped me in my personal life with my family, helped me in my personal life with myself in eradicating those negative narratives that Emily talked about before, and in my professional life. I'm more present with my colleagues. I'm more present in the work that I'm doing. I'm more able to get into the state of flow, which is very good for us all. All right, so that all said, let's kick it off with a poll. Shariah, can you kick off that first poll? All right, so who here considers themselves good multitaskers? I'd love to see the answers here.
I think that was most everyone, so I'll go ahead and launch that.
Right. All right. What do you see the results?
I'm
there we
sharing
go
them right now. They are
all right.
though.
Oh, all right. This is promising. Good. So who considers themselves good multitaskers? 43% saying I do. 57% says nope, not me. Well, that's a good thing. And I'll get into a reason here shortly. But first, I want to do an exercise with you all. This is why I asked you guys to bring a pen and paper. I want you to draw 3 columns on a piece of paper. And on this piece of paper, the first column, I want you to write the title just numbers. The second column will be letters. And the third column will be Roman numerals. And once you've got those columns titled and drawn, what I'm going to have you do is time yourselves for writing out, don't go yet, but time yourselves in writing out the first 10 numbers, the first 10 letters in the alphabet, and the first 10 Roman numerals. And I know this is an exercise in remembering what our Roman numerals look like. I have to remember them every time I do this drill. But here's the catch. What I want you to do once I say go is write down the first number, then the first letter, then the first Roman numeral, and then come back, write the second number, second letter, second Roman numeral, and you see how this goes. And time yourself. So is everybody ready? Got your columns drawn and titled? All right. I'm going to sit here in awkward silence after I say go. All right, I see Emily. Emily's done. No rush. It's not a competition against anyone else. It's just a competition against yourself. And if you've started to notice that you're done or getting close to being done, just note roughly how long that took. And then take a look at the 3 columns and see if there's any errors that you made along the way. And I want you to also just think back on the experience and notice how difficult that was. It's not easy to do, switching between those, because that's what multitasking is. It's not actually a thing. What you're doing is task switching the whole time. And that requires energy and it takes a lot of time. So now what I want you to do is flip that piece of paper, draw those same 3 columns, numbers, letters, and Roman numerals. I'm going to do the same drill, but this time what you're going to do is write the first 10 numbers straight down, and then the first 10 letters, and then the first 10 Roman numerals. Any questions? Everyone understand the assignment? All right. All right. So now I want you to time yourself on this again. And when you're ready, Go. All right, I'm seeing some heads pop up. Love to see, like, if you want to, throw it out there vocally or put it in the chat. What was your first time versus your second time? Emily, I want you to voice it. What was your first time?
I don't know. All I know, it was like way too long, and then and then it was short.
Yeah. What about number of errors? Were there any errors, or maybe scratches out, or you noticed that you were making an error and then you fixed it along the way?
Yeah, I definitely did with the first one, especially within the letter. I had to like keep singing the alphabet, like, and then
Right.
and then let's just be real, Roman numerals. My son, who loves everything Roman right now, would like hate on me because I don't even know if these are right. So, but what I think they are.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Well, that's one. You notice that multitasking is not a real thing. You notice that task switching is difficult. And I see Ellie and Gina, your first time versus your second time, there's definitely an improvement there, and probably a reduction in mistakes. And that, that exercise is really just a very simple exercise to show you that, one, it takes energy, two, it takes time, and three, a lot of the time, the attempt to multitask leads to mistakes. So it costs us productivity in time and errors. It also costs us money. In corporate America, every year, the attempt to multitask and the time that it takes and the number of mistakes that you have to fix in attempting to multitask costs somewhere between $350 and $450 million annually. That's just attempting to multitask, nothing else. But really what I'm more concerned about is what it does to us mentally. The attempting to multitask and then not getting through something causes us anxiety, it causes us depression, and that's dangerous. It's dangerous metaphorically, absolutely, but it's also dangerous literally, as in, hey, I'm driving down the street, I've got this thing in my hand, if you can't see, I'm holding up my phone, and I'm texting while I'm listening to the radio, while my kid in the back seat is telling me that they want to watch some other different movie on the DVD. That's a lot going on. And sure, in this day and age, there is a time when we have to do multiple things at once, but we can never focus on multiple tasks at the same time. So it can literally be dangerous to you and those around you. So my goal is to get you to be better monotaskers, multitasking less, and getting into flow more. All right, so Shariah, next poll is what we're going to use this poll to guide the conversation. So what do you feel are the areas that we should focus our discussion on? So one is reducing smartphone and social media distractions. The second one is work stuff distracting me while I'm at home. The third one is home stuff distracting me while at work.
All right, here you go.
All right, work stuff distracting me while at home, number one, and then the other two are dead tied. So we'll cover those back to back, but that'll help us to guide where we go and what it is you wanted to focus on. So you should have received a handout that covers a lot of this that we're going to go through today. I'm not going to go through that whole handout. That's not what I'm here to do. I mean, you guys can read that on your own time, but it's going to help to guide the discussion. So if you have any questions or comments, you can throw those in the chat. And then you can have that to go through after as well. But one foundation that all three of these topics have, and we've already covered it a little bit, is mindfulness. And we're going to get more into that. But what I want to touch on specifically is the STEA process, S-T-E-A. S for stimulus, T for thought, E for emotion, and A for action. for every stimulus that we experience, and we experience stimuli all day long, whether they're visual or physical or whatever, we experience stimuli all day long. And for every stimulus, there is a thought, which then drives an emotion, which ultimately drives an action. And we want to be in control of this. We want to put a gap between the S, stimulus, and T, thought. And this is done through mindfulness, being aware of what it is you're doing and what is happening around you and in you. So what I mean by that is physical and emotional sensations. And we have to practice mindfulness often when there's not a whole lot of stuff going on, so that when we do need it, when we're stressed out and when there are a whole lot of things going on, then we have it. We have that kind of as our anchor. So what we wanted to talk about first was work stuff distracted me while I'm at home. And there's going to be some overlap here between these three topics, but I want to cover work stuff distracted me while I'm at home. It starts with a mindset of setting your mind to be focused. If we don't have that intention going into our house, a lot of the time there's going to be that blur between work and home. And in this day and age, many of us are working from home, and that blur is even more confusing. If there's even a blur, sometimes they're all kind of blended together. But you have to have that intention, setting that intention first. So literally, if you need to, go stand in front of your mirror when you get home and recite a mantra to yourself. Say, I am at home. I am at home, and I'm going to be focused on home. Now, I know it's not completely realistic, again, in this day and age, to completely separate the two. As a matter of fact, there's an interesting show, I believe it's on Apple TV right now. It's called Severance, where there's a group of people who are working on this top secret system, and they have voluntarily had their minds surgically altered to where what they do at work is forgotten when they leave, and vice versa. When they get home, when they get to work, what they've done at home is completely behind them. Now, we don't want to be there, obviously, but, and I'm certainly not telling you to go and watch this show necessarily. I find it interesting, but that's not where we want to be. We want to have a separation, but at times there's going to be stuff that comes in from one to the other. But set that intention. In the day and age when we weren't all working from home, there was that decompression drive to and from work, and a lot of time what we had on our mind was left in the car, and then we picked it up the next day when we got back in the car. Well, in this day and age, that commute is not there. Maybe the commute is from your dining room where you're drinking a cup of coffee to your office that's 40 feet away in your house. Well, if the drive was helping you, get back in the car. And I know that sounds crazy, but literally get in the car and drive for 10 or 15 minutes, listening to your favorite morning show or podcast. I run a podcast. Maybe you want to listen to it. It is called Men Talking Mindfulness, but it's not only for men. Anyhow, do whatever it is that you would have done on your commute, your normal commute. So do that. Then get home, and now you're at work. And that allows us to kind of separate the two. Set yourself up for success. You can set different forms of focus on a lot of phones now. I don't know if you can see this, but my iPhone here, it's all black and white. I don't have the colored apps because that actually distracts us. And I'll get more into that here shortly when we start talking about our phones. But bottom line, limit the time on your smartphone while you're at home, because inevitably you'll get a text. Maybe it's from your boss, maybe it's from your neighbor. You'll get a text, but there's really a desire to, okay, I see that text. Well, what else is going on? Let me see social media. Let me check my email. Now I'm digging into my email, and suddenly I got 7 work emails that are coming to me at 7 p.m. at night, and I'm answering them. You're answering them. Now you've set a precedent for, hey, guess what? I'm available 24 hours a day to you. That's a dangerous precedent to set. So don't set that precedent. Don't respond to emails in the middle of the night. Don't respond to social media that may be work related in the middle of the night. Don't respond to texts unless they're absolutely emergencies that are work related. Don't set that precedent. The visualization, there's also a great visualization that I've used, and that's us. We carry two suitcases. One is work, one is home. And I always envision myself walking up on my front porch, and I drop the suitcase that is labeled work when I get home. And then I walk in and I focus on nothing else but that suitcase that is home related. Having a visualization, that's a powerful tool. I know it sounds crazy and it sounds woo-woo, but it works, trust me. Who here has heard of FOMO, F-O-M-O, FOMO? Okay, I'm seeing some heads nodding up and down. We all have that. So we have this fear of missing out, FOMO, fear of missing out, of things that are going on at work, even when we're not there. But we as adults also have this other thing called FOGIT, F-O-G-I-T, and that is the fear of getting in trouble. And what I mean by that is a lot of the time we feel that if we're not responding to our emails, our texts, our social media that are work related, even when we're at home, we're going to get in trouble of some sort. Most of the time, that's not the case, unless, again, you've set that precedent. So you've got to make sure you don't set that precedent by answering those. Then we've got to understand the point of diminishing returns. What I mean by that is in a work week, it's been proven that 36 hours is about the golden number that you should be working every work week. Granted, most of us work full time, so we're working 40 plus. So we're already past the point of diminishing returns. Now you throw in the number of hours that you're working at home over and above that. And what I mean by that is not the professional hours that you're working at home, but past normal working hours. So 7, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., responding to email, text, and messages, text messages, sorry. Once you get past that 36 hours, your productivity, your ability to get into flow state is actually greatly diminished. So we want to limit the amount of work to somewhere around 36, 40 hours, in a given work week. And that includes the amount of time that you do working while you're at home outside of working hours. So try to limit that. And then if you want to be your best at work, you have to take time away. You have to take time away from work. It has been proven that those who are grinding 24 hours a day, or I guess really about 16 hours a day grinding, that they are not as effective. They're not as empathetic. They're not as good leaders. They're not good communicators. So take some time away from your work when you're at home. Those are some things that you can do to limit your work distractions while you're at home. Now, the other one that's related to that is your social media and your smartphone distractions. Again, your smartphone is connected to your social media, is connected to your email, and so much of that is connected with your work. We live in the attention economy where everyone is fighting and actually paying for our attention. So who has trouble putting this down at night? Throw it in the text, shout it out, raise your hand. I know personally, I work on it. I teach this, and I still have trouble putting this down at night because, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I give myself all these excuses. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur. Hey, I'm busy. I've got important things going on. My important things when I'm at home are right there in front of me. My 2 daughters and my son, my beautiful bride. And, sometimes even if they're gone, important things are right there in front of me. It's me by myself, just maybe reading a book and just taking some time and resetting. But where our attention goes, our energy flows, and so does our money, right? Social media, it's designed to attract us for one reason or another. And as you're scrolling through whatever social media of your choice, you're seeing these commercials. Most often, those are paid for, and then you're going to end up buying something. That's what they're paying for. They're paying for your attention. So these things, again, they're designed to keep our attention. We can be sold the newest widget or download the latest app and everything, literally from the shapes of the phone, because they feel so good in our hand, to the colors of the logos and the apps that are on there. They're psychologically designed to not only get, but hold our attention. So once you log into some social media, all the colors on there are designed to keep your attention. And we'll get into that here in a second. And then throw on top of that, social media, the desire to see what everyone else is doing, that FOMO again, what everyone else is buying, so we can buy it, so we can be cool like the next person, or where everyone else is going on vacation, so we can go there or go someplace better. It's the old competing with the Joneses, or keeping up with the Joneses, but now we're keeping up with millions of Joneses, not just our next door neighbor. So the desire there to keep up and surpass our neighbor, it's strong. It's literally, there's hormones that are tied to it. So that's all well and good, right? I've told you a lot of things about your smartphone that you probably already know. How do you reduce this? Well, I start by getting this thing out of my bedroom. How many of us, raise your hand, or you can just keep it to yourself, how many of us use this as our alarm clock? I know I used to. And the urge, when my phone was my alarm clock, I rolled over, turn off the alarm clock, and instantly, within seconds of me waking up, I'm checking email, I'm checking social media, I'm checking texts of what came on my phone through the night. Most of the time, it's garbage. Most of the time, it's a bunch of junk mail, social media that I don't need to get to later. So first thing, get this out of the bedroom, get an old alarm clock. And then before you grab your phone, maybe charge it in the kitchen. That's where I charge mine. Before you do anything, do something else. Meditate, go for a jog, walk the dog, do something before opening up your phone, because what you're doing is setting a habit and doing away with an old neural pathway. That's what's happening in our brain. The neural pathway is there that you've already developed to roll over, turn off the alarm, and check your email, check your social media. That's there. Let's undo that neural pathway by not touching your phone until you've done something else. Next thing is make your phone as dumb as possible, as dumb as you're comfortable having it. What I mean by that is delete the social media if you can, and if you're comfortable doing that, delete it. Maybe on your phone, only use it as a phone, as a text device, maybe GPS. I mean, I know that helps in this day and age. Calendars to help us stay on track. Maybe a camera, right? But turn everything else off or delete it, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't have on your phone, but dumb it down. Dumb it down. Make your smartphone dumber. And that is very helpful. The mantra that I use when I'm about to download an app is, do I need it or do I want it? And if it's the latter, I don't do it. I don't download it. If it's, hey, I don't want Angry Birds on my phone anymore. No judgment. I've had that game and I used to love it, but I don't have games on my phone, because again, that temptation is going to draw me in. Next thing is setting out of office replies on your email. So like when you're at home, maybe have an automatic out of office reply that responds for you from, let's say, 6 p.m. until 7 a.m. the next day. It responds for you saying, hey, I am away from my phone, I'm away from my email, or I'm trying to reduce my time on email. I will get back to you as soon as possible. Shariah, you've probably gotten an email from me that says that. Forgive my delayed response. I'm cutting down on my email. I will respond when able. That cuts down on that fear of getting in trouble, right? Hey, you've sent a response. Granted, it was automatic, but you've sent a response and you will get back to them as soon as possible. So set an out of office reply on your email. You can also do that on your text. I use the driving mode on my phone, and it sends, if somebody is texting me while I'm driving, a lot of the time I'm not, it's just in driving mode, it'll send a message saying, hey, I'm away from my phone, or I'm focused on something other than my phone. And then I will respond to them later, but they know that I'm in the middle of something. So you can set those focus modes. Next thing is grayscale. Again, mine's black and white because I don't want to get sucked into those beautiful colors of the apps. You know, that light colored blue that Facebook is and LinkedIn is, that color is psychologically addicting. Turn your phone on to grayscale. Check your screen time. Check it regularly and see, oh, you know what? I've been on my phone 6, 7, 8 hours today. Again, granted, a lot of us use our phones for work. I use my phone for work. But when I see that I'm creeping up on multiple hours on my phone every day, maybe it's time to cut back. There's actually an app called Forest, just like the forest of trees, that you can download. Funny enough, I'm talking about downloading an app to limit your time on your phone. But what it does is you set a time that you want to be away from your phone. Let's say you want to be away from your phone for an hour, and it grows this virtual tree on your screen. And for every number of virtual trees, the app will actually plant a real tree for you. It's kind of a neat little gamification of staying off your phone. So check it out. It's called Forest. Then when you're in meetings, turn your phone off, or better yet, leave your phone outside of meetings. There's a thing called the iPhone effect, where just having your phone in your pocket causes you to think about what you're missing while you're in that meeting, what you're missing on social media, what you're missing on email, what you're missing on text. So leave your phone outside of meetings. Those are some tips on how you can reduce smartphone and social media distractions. And then the last one is home stuff distracting me while I'm at work. Same as the other way around, where you're at home and work stuff is distracting you. Set your mindset, setting that intention for while you're at work, being focused, getting into the zone. There's a great book by Csikszentmihalyi. It's not spelled anything like it sounds, but if you just look up father of flow state, you'll see Csikszentmihalyi, and getting into that flow state or the zone is something that you want to practice. And you can do that by setting a ritual. So maybe do what we did at the very beginning, taking a few breaths and just getting into the here and now, the present moment, maybe getting a cup of coffee, saying a mantra to yourself, whether it's in front of a mirror or if it's just in front of your computer in your mind, saying something, I will be focused on work. I will be focused on the here and now. Doing some stretching, doing some movement every hour, getting up and moving around for 2 or 3 minutes every hour. That can actually help you, because there's a desire when you're at work, you start getting bored. You're like, okay, well, I'm bored. Now I'm going to think about other places, other times. Well, if you get up and move around every so often, that boredom doesn't set in as easily. So you're going to be more focused. And then just sit down and get to it, right? So again, the working from home, that has blurred those lines. One thing that I started doing when I was working from home, because my wife was working from home for a while as well, we would both turn to one another and say, hey, can you take the kids for a minute? Or can you do X, Y, or Z for a minute? Because we're there, right? And sure, what do? We do it because that's what we do in a family. But sometimes you're in the middle of an important Zoom call or an important meeting of some sort. What we established was we had either a work shirt or a work hat that we wore. So when we walked around the house and we saw our significant other wearing that work hat or work shirt, we knew, okay, they are at work. Granted, they're physically here, but they're at work. So don't bother them to do X, Y, or Z, chores around the house. I've got horses. A lot of the time I'd be like in the middle of a work day and my wife would be like, hey, could you go, clean the stalls? I'm like, that's not going to happen right now. I love you dearly, but I'm in the middle of work. I will get to it at the end of the day. So anyway, bottom line is have maybe a specific shirt or a hat or something that distinguishes John from at work versus John at home. The visualizations, coming back to that 2 suitcases, the one before, I was dropping the work suitcase on my front porch and walking into my house with the home suitcase. This one's flipped. Now you're driving to work or maybe walking to the back of your house. Imagine dropping that home suitcase and now all you have is a briefcase maybe for work. That visualization actually helps to get you into that mindset. And then again, we've talked about taking breaks. Take 2 different types. One that is basically a home check-in, maybe every few hours. You check your social media, you check your email, you check your text to see if anything is coming from your family, to see if anything is coming from your home, or maybe to jump online, pay a bill, set up a contractor to do some housework. It's basically a home check-in break that you're taking. The next one is quiet times away from everything. So what I mean is take 5 minutes, don't check social media, don't call home, maybe do a walk around the block or a walk around the office, but be present and focus on what it is you're experiencing in the here and now during that break. So 2 different types of breaks that can help to eliminate the home distractions while you're at work. First one is you're actually taking time to check in on home so that you get it off your mind. The next one is a break completely away from home and away from work so that you're not getting that boredom and that desire to check in on something else. So those are my tips and tricks for breaking home distractions when you're at work, breaking work distractions when you're at home, and getting away from social media or smartphone distractions. That kind of concludes my formal discussion. I'll throw it over to you guys for any questions or comments that you may have. And then if we have time, I'd love to lead you guys through a guided meditation if we have time. So I'll throw it over to you guys for any questions. Let me see. Turning off notifications, Nicole mentions in the chat. Absolutely. Turning off your notifications. I don't have notifications on my phone. Again, it's all blacked out. No notifications come through. If I want the ringer turned on, I'll turn it on later, but obviously I don't have that on in meetings. But those little bubbles, they cause distraction, but they also cause stress and anxiety. When you look at your phone and you have 215 unanswered emails, just seeing that number has been shown to cause stress and anxiety. So Rhonda, how did I get it in grayscale? So this is let me hold it properly. My phone is an iPhone. I downloaded an app, ironically, called, I think it's called Brass. There it is. It's called Brass. And it allows you to make your phone look this way. You don't have to do that. You can, there's an accessibility function on your phone that can just make, it can look just like all your regular app logos and everything else. And you can just click the power button twice and it will go to grayscale, which is nice if you don't want to download the app and go through all that. So that's a way to do that. Let's see, interruptions while at work, making it hard to finish anything. Absolutely.
Yeah, that one's, my interruptions are, as a leader, I get a lot of people coming to me with whatever's happening. So it's hard frequently to focus on the one task to get it done before the 16 other things pop up and interrupt me. Right. And the joke is that we can get to our workload just as soon as the day's done and people go away. But yes, that's not really how I want to lead my life. So it's a balancing act of, making myself available for others who clearly need me, because I've shut my door all day long. That doesn't work. And still being able to get done the things that are on my plate. Sure.
I had a boss that he said, I've got an open door policy. You can come and see me between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. every morning, open door. But, that doesn't work, obviously. But nor does the open door policy the entire day. If you have the open door policy, that's great in theory. And what the message it sends to your people is, hey, I'm available to help out. But what it does is you're saying yes to everything. And in saying yes to everything, you're effectively saying no to everything. So you can't help out that way. It's a great idea. But what I ended up practicing when I was in command was an open door policy for certain hours. And the rest of the time, my door was closed and you needed to set an appointment to come and see me. I know that sends a negative message at first, but when people see that the open door policy, I'm actually paying attention to them, I'm actually getting to the work that they want me to get done. And then when I have the closed door, then I'm doing everything else. Then I'm actually focused on them and not thinking about the 17 other things that I have to get done that day or 75 other things that I have to get done that day. So the open door policy, it's great in theory, but in true actuality, what it does is it causes you stress and anxiety, and it causes you not to actually do for your people what they want you to do. So I recommend having an open door policy, but only for a certain number of hours a day. And then the rest of the time, booking that off to get work done. I see Emily unmuted.
Yes, I just want to commend you for saying that, because that's the one thing that we talk so much about is that open door policies and how it can hurt people. Because just the same thing you did with the columns, is that task with switching.
Yeah,
and you can't. switch. And we know if somebody comes in and interrupts, you have at minimum 20 minutes to reset,
Right.
if you even get back to that flow state, which can take up to an hour.
Right.
So you actually are hurting yourself. So we set office hours.
Yep.
And you'll be shocked how many people actually don't need you whenever you set the office hours.
Right. Right. Yes. They figure things out, which is great. It enables them. So absolutely. Emily, I'm curious what it says on the wall behind you.
Oh, enjoy this moment.
Oh.
This moment.
How perfect is that, right?
Yes, it is in the kitchen to be
painted
present.
that this morning. Well done, well done. Well, if there's no other questions or comments, Shariah, remind me how much time we have?
You have 15 more minutes. So
15 minutes, great. If you would do me the honor of letting me guide a meditation, I would really appreciate that. So one thing I always want to put out before I guide a meditation is that the meditations that I teach are completely secular. They're not to replace your specific spiritual beliefs. They're not going to make you believe any other spiritual beliefs either. But what they can do is actually reinforce your spiritual beliefs in allowing your mind and your body and your nervous system to be calmer. So if you did something like this prior to maybe your own spiritual time, it could make your spiritual time more effective because you're more focused. It's going to really make just about anything more effective, and because you're present. So I also, at this time, if anyone is uncomfortable meditating, obviously it's your prerogative, but I invite you to turn off your camera or leave. But I just want to make sure I offer that opportunity. So
before we get started, we had someone ask what was a good recommendation on the guided meditations.
Oh yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. I see that now. So yes, calm is great. Abide is the Christian one. If you're a Christian, that's a great meditation app specifically for Christians. I like Insight Timer as well, because there's so many thousands of meditations on there, and you can choose the ones that you like. You can choose the meditation teacher that you like. If you like a male voice versus a female voice, or vice versa. You can do a meditation based on stress, anxiety, work focus. There's tons of them out there. But yes, Abide is a great one. Calm, Insight Timer, Waking Up, Headspace, 10% Happier. I could ramble on, but those are a few of the top ones that are out there. So, all right, great. Well, now, if you're comfortable joining me, I invite you to go ahead and get into a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. I personally like to sit in a chair. I'm not as limber as I used to be, so I don't sit cross-legged or anything. I sit in a chair. I put my hands on my lap and I put them palm up, and that actually invites a feeling and a sense of vulnerability, which is the state that you want to be in when you meditate, that parasympathetic rest and digest state. And then I personally close my eyes, but if closing your eyes is not comfortable for you, just go ahead and soften your gaze. And we're going to start by focusing on the physical sensations of breathing. We won't force anything just yet. Just notice your breathing. Specifically, try to identify where the air is entering your body. If you're breathing in through your nose, feel it at the very tips of your nostrils. And where the air is leaving your body. If you're breathing out through your mouth, you may feel the air passing out over your tongue or your lips. And then notice what the air is doing to your body as you breathe in. Your lungs expand, your diaphragm pushes down into your belly, pushing your belly out. So your chest and your belly are both expanding. And as you breathe out, your diaphragm pushes back up, shrinking your lungs and shrinking your belly. Just notice what that feels like. And now bring your attention to the tactile sensation, so the sense of touch. And notice where your body is making contact with your chair and where it's making contact with the ground. Notice the sensation of the shoes on your feet. Your hands in your lap. You may notice some warmth from a heater or coolness from an air conditioner. And if you've noticed that your mind has tiptoed off to some other place, some other time, just notice that and gently, without any judgment, without any frustration, just gently bring it back to either the sensation of breathing or the tactile sensation of your hands on your lap, your shoes on your feet, and the seat against your body. Your mind is made to wander and think thoughts just like your heart is made to beat. You're not going to stop it. But just like a ship, you're anchored and you come back to center point. And if that happens once, or if it happens 100 times, it's completely natural, completely normal. No need to judge yourself or get frustrated. Just bring it back over and over and over again. And now to wrap it up and close this meditation, we'll together do 3 deep cleansing breaths. Before we start, what we'll do is we'll breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. And we'll do that 3 times. This is called box breathing. And this again taps into your parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest, calms us down. So begin by breathing out as much air as you can. And breathing in for 4. Holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the bottom for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 4. Holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the bottom empty for 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in for 4. Holding at the top for 4, 3, 2, 1. And breathing out for 4, 3, 2, 1. And finally, holding empty for 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Breathe normally. And now on your own time, start to bring some movement back into your body. Maybe moving your head around, stretching your neck, and start to flutter your eyes, blink your eyes open. And here we are. That is a simple meditation that you can do on your own to get focused for the day and kind of get your mind set for the day, whether that is at home trying to leave work behind you, or if it's at work trying to leave home behind you. And again, that's that. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll again open it back up for any final questions, comments, and I'll turn it back over to you guys.
This was helpful. I'm going to do that little ABC 1, 2, 3 test with my team at our next meeting on Monday.
There you go. There's a fantastic app. One of my friends, I complete transparency, he did help to design this. It's called Numinous, Noominus, and it's not actually an app. It's a computer program, and you can start your Zoom calls, your Microsoft meeting calls, whatever, by inviting Numinous to your call, and it will start with a meditation. It will start with a guided, pre-recorded meditation. If you invite arrive at numinous.us, I believe that's it, to your meeting, it will automatically kick it off with a meditation. And then when the meditation is done, kick you over to Zoom or meetings or Google Meetup or whatever it is that you're using. It's pretty neat. I've just recently started using it for some of my executive coaching. It's very effective.
So what is it called again?
It's Numinous. I will
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. Let me make
I
sure
feel like I just got a new cheat code. I'm excited.
So let's see. Oh, what the heck? Now it says 403 forbidden, not found. That's not good.
Oh dear.
Maybe they're doing an upgrade. But I will find it and I will send it to Shariah and Emily later today. But it's a great one. I've recently started using it. So
yeah, I'll send out some of those recommendations that you said throughout your discussion as well in the follow-up email. So
great.
That'd be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for the opportunity to be with you guys today. I appreciate it. And happy International Women's Day. And thank you all for what it is you guys are doing at CWLI.
Well, thank you so much, John. I mean, we're honored that you chose to share this time with us and help us kind of just continue that conversation of doing this leadership rebuild, these steps towards that. So really, really appreciate you taking the time today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Emily, for connecting us. Yeah, we'd love to hear your feedback. I'm going to email out a survey if you guys wouldn't mind just taking a brief few minutes to answer a couple questions on there. We do value your feedback. And we hope to see you at our next leadership study, April 19th. We are going to be discussing motivation. So mark your calendars for that. And don't worry if you missed anything. We are going to archive this on our online library and extend that link to you all so you can always go back and reference it. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be in touch with you all shortly. Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone.
And the symposium, if you're in Chattanooga,
yes,
on the 24th,
March 24th.
Yep, March 24th, we are having the symposium. So love to see y'all there as well.
Thank you so much, Emily. Bye, everyone.
Bye.